Welcome to this Sunday's Gospel Reflection. Once the bishop of a remote and primitive region went to visit a small indigenous community of his diocese on a lost tiny island. He asked them if they knew any prayers, and they said they only knew one prayer, which they repeat over and over again in all circumstances of their simple lives as fishermen. And this only prayer was, "We are three, we are one, praise and glory be." The bishop started teaching them some other basic prayers and doctrine of the Christian faith, but they simply could not understand or remember anything he tried to teach them. His visit ended, and he set sail on his little boat to return home, quite disheartened and disappointed at his failed mission of evangelizing his people. Barely out at sea, a storm whipped up and his boat was in grave danger. The bishop was terrified, complete panic. But at one point, he saw some of the villagers coming over to his help, just walking on the rough seas and repeating their age-old prayer. "We are three, we are one, praise and glory be." The storm subsided, the sea calmed down, and the bishop was safe. These fishermen were indeed holy, because in their simplicity, they didn't know so much about their faith, but they had understood the one essential truth of our faith. God is many and God is one at the same time. Those fishermen had understood something very deep. And in today's gospel, Jesus decides to face head-on the horrible sense of superiority, self-righteousness of the Jews, because they saw themselves as the chosen people of God. Only they adored the true God. Only they were his preferred and privileged people. Only they deserved to be loved, protected, and saved by the Messiah from the misery of life. The problem was not that this wasn't true. The problem was that they thought that this was true only for them. They excluded the others. And Jesus, in his gospel, we see him leaving Judea and going to the land of Tyre and Sidon, a land of pagans, non-Jews. Jesus refused to be possessed or held hostage by his own people. He came to belong to and to save everyone, because everyone shares the same pain and is called to the same beauty of being human. The pagan Canaanite mother's pain for her daughter's illness for Jesus was just as precious as the pain of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue, whose daughter also was sick to death. No people, no religious group, no category of humans can monopolize God's tender, loving care. All human beings are God's children. As St. Paul puts it, there is no Jew and no Gentile in the eyes of God. Let us stop to reflect about this marvelous but challenging issue that is so much in the limelight today, with our rightful but tricky understanding and insistence of equality and diversity. We hear these terms coming up constantly in so many ways. Well, as they say, holiness is wholeness. Indeed, We human beings, even in our fragility and smallness, we dream and crave for completeness. We crave for wholeness. We are not self-sufficient. We have this deep thirst to experience everything. We want to know more. We want to enjoy everything, to be everything, to have everything. In many ways, this is a beautiful and life-giving yearning that makes us human beings such creative creatures, enterprising explorers, inventors, achievers. We are never satisfied with what we are or who we are because we are made for more. The human spirit is seeking the limitless skies, as they say. The sky is the limit for humanity. All this is well and good and beautiful. Life is not boring for those who are ready to venture out of the well-trodden paths of sameness, of custom, fixed traditions, regimes, the rigidity, the sameness that is death. And yet, however much we love diversity, we still are terrified by that very diversity that attracts us so much. We are terrified of the others who are different, of people of a different race, skin color, nationality, gender, religious beliefs, or simply different culture. The difference challenges and frightens us. And so you see us seeking refuge in sameness. We men, we women, we Maltese, we Christians, we Catholics, we belonging to this political party, that political party, we gather and find home in those who are the same as us, or we think they are the same. These become our comfort groups, I call them. In other terms, we identify and belong to those who we think are like us. We need to be part of a tribe. We need to be part of a group, a family. And of course, our group, our family, our party, our faith, they are always the best. What can we do? The biggest challenge in all this diversity is, yes, diversity is beautiful, but who are we? How can we keep our identity? How is it possible not to be lost in all this variety? Am I a man? Am I a woman? Am I this culture, that culture? This invasion of foreigners among us? Is it making us lose our identity? And our first reaction is to fight back and get rid of those who are different from us. It becomes us against them. And let the strongest win and dominate. This is how all wars, all persecutions start. East against West, whites against blacks, men against women, majorities against minorities, Christians against Muslims and Muslims against Christians. Intolerance, discrimination take over, which all result in pain, destruction, and death. Is there hope for humanity? Can we ever learn how to live together in our diversity? Can we overcome the fear of differences and embrace others as brothers and sisters? Can we ever be 3, 4, many, and yet one at the same time, in the same way as God, our Creator, is one? The answer for Jesus is a resounding yes, on one condition. If only we accept the fact that we are not God, but we are only God's children. No one has it all. No one can be everything. No one is complete by himself. But everyone is precious. Everyone is unique. Everyone is special, essential, irreplaceable. If only we accepted to be part of a whole, members of a body, brothers and sisters belonging to one family. If only we were humble enough to accept that being special does not mean being more powerful. Being unique does not mean being lonely. Being different does not necessarily mean being better or worse than others. If only we realized that we are not competitors, enemies, but we are companions called to share the same life journey and the one and same blessing, which is life. Our differences are the result of our greatness, not of our weakness. No one can carry, create, express all the beauty, all the knowledge, all the gifts that God has bestowed on us, His children. Each one of us is carrying just one spark of God's own beauty, of God's love, of God's greatness. Each one is carrying the gifts and the load that the others cannot carry. That is solidarity. Alas, too often we end up ferociously defending our diversity and we forget about our unity. We savagely impose our views, our opinions, forgetting that they are simply views, opinions. We forget we are who we are precisely because of and thanks to the others. Thanks to what they and who they are. We forget that we can only live and find happiness, completeness, peace, wholeness, together with others, and not in spite of others. We insist on being 3, 4,000, millions, many, but forget that we are one. Just like God, the source of who we are. He is one, and yet He is three. He is diversity itself, but in perfect and harmonious unity. Because He is love, He could not stop Himself from sharing His rich diversity and His loving unity, both of them, diversity and unity, that make Him who He is, the God Almighty. He wanted to share this with our little creatures that we are. He created us humans to become not just 3, but to become thousands, millions, billions of bright and shining sparks of His own beauty to one another. Each one of us is that spark carrying a unique brightness of His shining glory. On one condition: if that little spark that we are lovingly embraces its sister sparks, so that together we can indeed light up the darkness of the universe. Yes, in God we also are 3. We also are one. We are 3. We are one. Praise and glory be. Thank you, and God bless you.